Ladies and gentlemen, the news at 11. Channel 1 had a special about yellow alert, so I worried a lot. Don't want to get hurt. Channel 2 said the flu was going around, so I got a flu shot and went out of town. Channel 3 said those flu shots are dangerous too, so I turned on Channel 4 to find out what to do. They said see a doctor so I could survive. In the waiting room, I waited and watched Channel 5. Channel 5 and a tranquilizer made me feel fine. Those soap opera problems are much worse than mine. But at home, Channel 6 had a story about pills and how people drop dead from prescription or thrills. So I called back the doctor as I watched Channel 7. A star was in rehab, news at 11. So I went into rehab, where I watched Channel 8, all about crime and murder and hate. And when I got home, I tuned in Channel 9 and watched blood and horror on some battle line. I took a deep breath and screamed, and then gave up and fainted as I watched Channel 10. When the paramedics woke me, the answer was clear, so I killed my TV and stopped living in fear. That's another one of the wonderful new poems from Lori Boxer's new book, Swamp Gas. These are available for sale at the Congress Book and Tape. Wonderful stuff. Lori, are you in the room? Lori, if you're in the room, stand up. There she is. Okay, let's give her a hand. This is the young lady that writes these marvelous poems. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, he doesn't need an introduction. I mean, he really doesn't. New York Times best-selling author. He had his book, Crossfire, made into the film, as you all know, on the Kennedy assassination. He's written the #1 selling book ever on the alien phenomena, Alien Agenda. He's been deeply involved, of course, as a writer and reporter and in the journalistic field for decades. He is intimately familiar with the control of information and how he can come up and do the kind of research that he does absolutely mystifies me. I mean, he's one in a million. The world is blessed to have such a person that'll put it on the line and then share it with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Marrs.
Hopefully I'm on this mic, so that way I can move around. Okay. It is a distinct pleasure to be with you. There we go. It's a distinct pleasure to be here with you folks today. I guess from Texas we'd say y'all. If I was from a little further north, I'd say yous guys. But it really is because I kind of consider you all home folks. I feel like I'm kind of here preaching to the choir. You people are the ones who come out of your homes, turn off that TV, that daily drumbeat of fear and depression, and actually come out to try to find out what's really going on. So today I'm going to try to share some of this. We got a lot of ground to cover, and I may just get to rattling. So if you miss something, buy my book. Yeah, a few unabashed plugs here. Before I launch into the program, which is going to be about rule by secrecy, and for those of you who have read the book, I've got a PowerPoint program here that I hope will make it even be more graphic for you, maybe even more understandable. Plus, I have a very, very important piece of information that is not in rule by secrecy because I did not find this out until after publication. But before we do that, I want to tell you about something that I've recently come up with that, to my way of thinking, is a true smoking gun in the field of UFOs. I recently completed a little documentary, Aurora, the UFO crash of 1897. Before Roswell, before the Foo Fighters, there was Aurora. And this one actually was documented in the newspapers of the time. Now, you will find an account of Aurora in my book, Alien Agenda. But at that time, I had gone into the old Fort Worth Star-Telegram, into their microfilm, and had, many years ago, back about 1973, and had found the story. And like an idiot, I didn't copy the whole thing. I just jotted some notes. I can still remember the memorable line. It said, the pilot, comma, who was not of this world, comma, you know, just like you might as well have said, you know, who had red hair. Very, very blasé about it. And then later, the story I quote in Alien Agenda is the story that I got from the Dallas Morning News, which of course is still in publication. But all I'd had up until about 2 weeks ago was a copy of the story. And I won't bother you with the story because it's in Alien Agenda and it's been reprinted other places. Now, the debunkers cannot say it wasn't in the newspapers at the time, because it was. So their argument is that it was just a hoax story, and that it was planted there by Judge Proctor, who was a little bit saddened because the railroad had bypassed Aurora, which up until about 1897 had been a fairly thriving town in North Texas, and it was kind of dying on the vine, and he was trying to drum up some excitement for Aurora. Okay, that's plausible enough, and I certainly paid attention to that. Until about 2 weeks ago, when I managed to secure a copy of the entire front page of the Dallas Morning News from April the 19th, 1897. Main headlines talking about the great aerial wanderer. There are 16 stories on this front page, and every single one of them concerns the large silver cigar-shaped object flying over Texas. Now this, folks, is in the spring of 1897. This is 7 years before the Wright brothers flew at Kitty Hawk. This is 7 years before the first powered balloon flight in the United States, the California era, and also in 1904. These reports range from the Oklahoma border as far south as Austin, Texas. And it's really incredible. Wortham, Freestone County. Captain John A. Lilly, a prominent and respected citizen of this place, a Mexican War veteran, claims that he saw the mysterious airship last night at 9:30. He said it was going straight up. Kind of leaves out a meteor, doesn't it? And of course, we have the story here about the crash in Aurora. And it says the pilot of the ship is supposed to have been the only one on board, and while his remains are badly disfigured, enough of the original has been picked up to show that he was not an inhabitant of this world. I'm telling you, folks, this was recorded years ago, and I have some copies of this front page. It's really worth getting. On 2 occasions, there's an account of where it actually landed and people communicated with the crew. One time they were told that this was a secret invention that had been developed by an inventor in mid-state New York, and that he and 2 assistants had taken off to test it, and it was such a success that they soon found themselves over Indiana. So they just kept going and ended up in Texas. And they said, but now don't say anything to anybody, don't spread the word about this, because when we get everything patented, we're going to release this and it's going to revolutionize transportation. But in the same story, from a different place, we have a fellow who says it landed and they told him that they were from the North Pole, in a strange and ice-free area up there where their ancestors had settled, and that they were developing this technology.